everyone, welcome to today's video. If this is your first time here, my name is Risa and I was a freelance makeup artist for more than 20 years before becoming a full-time content creator here on YouTube. My first job in the makeup industry was with Laura Mercier. I helped launch her line in 1996. I was 23 years old. I have been working in the beauty industry in some capacity ever since. This year, I turned 50, and a lot has changed over the years in the beauty industry, as well as makeup techniques and how I do my own makeup. I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you're around my age. You're somewhere in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, and you have some questions or concerns about how to do your makeup now that you're no longer 23. I've always preached that one should wear what they like when it comes to clothing or hair or makeup. Just because you or I think that that person might be stuck in the 80s or 90s, if they love it and they don't want to change, that's fine. But if you clicked on this video, I think you are looking for some help, and I am here to give that to you. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to stop applying your foundation the old way. The methods of foundation application have really changed over the years. I'm sure a lot of you remember just applying foundation with your fingers. Back in 2007, my sister and I opened a makeup boutique, a high-end makeup boutique in Rochester, Minnesota, across from the Mayo Clinic. And about 1 or 2 years into us owning the store is when beauty blenders came out. And these were all the rage. I was selling them like crazy. Anytime I would sell someone a foundation, they always bought the beauty blender. And then after the beauty blender peaked in popularity, a lot of people moved to foundation brushes. When I first started using foundation brushes, they all left streaks on the skin. And it was usually a flat brush, and we were told to just blend out the foundation like this. And it would leave streaks. The foundation would just be so streaky. And that was before the beauty blender came into existence. Nowadays, if you get streaks using your foundation brush, you can take your beauty blender and just pat those streaks out. But these days, it seems that most people are using brushes to apply their foundation. And a lot of people are doing it wrong. What you don't want to do is take your foundation and pump it right onto your brush. Instead, you want to pump the foundation onto either a mixing tray or the back of your hand. Then you take your foundation brush and sort of press the foundation into the brush. If you just put a glob of foundation onto a foundation brush and then apply it to your face, it is going to be much harder to blend. Your brush is also going to soak up a lot of that foundation, and foundations, as we all know, are not cheap. So when you do this technique of pressing the foundation onto your hand or onto the tray, you are going to be using a lot less product. It's going to look a lot more natural when it's applied. What we don't want to be doing is swiping the foundation onto our faces like this. We want to be gently patting, using a brush where we can get into all the crevices of our face. Even if you're using a full coverage foundation, you are going to be amazed at how natural you can get it to look using this foundation application method. Now, the next thing I want you to stop doing is something that might be a little controversial. When I used to color match people for foundation, and by the way, another brand I used to work for back in the day was called Prescriptives, and they had a custom blend foundation that you could buy. They also had a custom blend powder. And one of my favorite things to do was to mix up someone's foundation that matched perfectly to their skin. And I'm kind of bummed that that's not really offered anymore. But what I'm getting at is when I color match people, I color match them along their jawline and onto their neck. And very rarely is there an exact match. A lot of times you're going to have to choose between maybe 2 or 3 shades. And a lot of times you will be told to go with the lighter one. I have heard many makeup artists and people that work at counters and at Sephora tell people to go with a lighter foundation and then just use some heavy bronzer or contour or do something that brings the life back to their faces. And I just disagree. How many of you have looked at photos and seen people with a very, very white face and a darker body? I know you've seen those photos. Maybe it was you or maybe it was someone else, but their face is just white in that flash photo. It just doesn't look good. And a lot of people think that's because of the SPF in the foundation or maybe the powder that they're using, but most of the time it's because their foundation is too light. So I always recommend going with the darker one. I just wanted to be clear here, this recommendation of choosing a darker foundation only applies when you cannot find an exact match and you are having to choose between a few shades. I always use a foundation that is either my exact skin tone or darker. In my opinion, you want to go a little bit darker and just blend. Blend onto your neck, blend onto your ears. I even put a little bit on my chest. Now you might be thinking, Risa, isn't that going to ruin all my clothes? That's just so time consuming. No, it's not really that time consuming. It only takes a couple of seconds to blend onto your ears and onto your neck. If you're wearing a turtleneck, yes, that might be a little bit of a problem, but I have to tell you, in all of my years of wearing a foundation that is slightly darker than my skin tone, I have never had an issue with having to throw away any of my clothes. If I get makeup on something, usually it comes out in the wash or with dry cleaning. It's honestly not a big deal. However, some of you watching may think that is a big deal to me. I don't want to do that, and that's fine. These are just tips and recommendations from someone who has been in the business and seen a lot for many, many years. That's why I said it was controversial. Now let's move on to powder. I know a lot of you are taking a loose powder and a big fluffy brush like this, going into that powder and just going like this all over your face. And then you're wondering why all of a sudden your foundation looks dry and cakey. You've been told you need to set your foundation with a little powder even if you're dry, but the powder that you use and the brush that you use makes a difference. I want you to stop using big brushes like this to apply your powder. What I suggest you do is take a smaller brush like this one, and you put a little powder in the cap, you go into the powder, really work the brush into that, tap off your excess, always, always, always tap off the excess powder, and then just apply where you need it. I get really shiny through my T-zone, so this is where I'm going to apply the powder. I'm not taking this big fluffy brush and going like this. I'm being very, very strategic. I don't know if strategic is the right word, but the placement is very, very important. And I'm also, once again, patting. So by doing this, I'm placing the powder only where I need it, and it's going to look so much more natural. You want the powder to set your makeup and give you sort of an airbrushed, filtered look, and that is what the right powder and the right brush will do. Something else I would really like to see over 40 women stop doing is applying a really, really harsh blush. I have seen many, many YouTube videos and TikToks and Instagram reels of people demonstrating proper blush technique. Yet when I go out onto the streets, maybe I'm at a restaurant or at a shopping mall, I see so many women with really, really heavy, harsh blushes. It's not to say that you can't use a bright color blush. This is the blush I have on today. It is super, super bright. But if I use a very, very light hand, I can wear basically any blush color. And a lot of times the lighting that we're in, the lighting that we're doing our makeup in, makes it seem like we need more color on our cheeks. And this also goes back to the foundation part of this video where I talked about how many times people are wearing foundations that are too light for them, but they've compensated by using a lot of bronzer and a lot of blush. The other thing that I want you to consider is the placement of the blush. I would like you to stop listening to every single influencer on social media who is telling you to apply your blush up here because it's going to give you a lifted effect. Yes, if that's what you need, but not everybody looks good with a very, very high placed blush. It makes it much more obvious. Blush is supposed to look like you are blushing. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with that, but I stand by what I'm saying. I think that blush application is 100% based on someone's face shape, where they naturally blush. Yes, you can place your blush higher. I do. I don't want my blush down here, but I also like to put a little bit on the apples of my cheeks to give my face a little bit more fullness. Something that we lose as we get older is the volume in our faces, which is why so many women go and get under eye filler, or they get cheek filler, or they get filler in their temples to make their face look more lifted and youthful. So the bottom line is you want to use a blush that is buildable. If you're someone who has a tendency to be very heavy-handed with your blush, using one that's sheer or buildable is going to be the best option for you. I would not necessarily take a very, very pigmented blush because it is much more difficult to tone down blush than it is to just add a little bit more. So blush selection is obviously important. The brush you use is obviously important. A brush like this is going to give you more of a diffused sort of cloud-like blush, and a more dense brush like this is going to give you more pigment. Something else I see when I am out and about, aside from too light of a foundation and really harsh blush, is really harsh eyeliner. Now I know you've been told if you're over 40, you shouldn't wear black eyeliner, you shouldn't wear a liquid liner, you shouldn't do a wing. Yes, you can. I do it all the time. And I've put it on other women over 40, over 50, over 60. It's dependent on that person, their skin, and their features and face shape. But what I do not think looks good on anyone, again, personal opinion, is really, really harsh liner, especially under the eyes. If you want to do a liquid eyeliner and it looks good on you, go for it. Most of the time, if I am applying a winged liner onto someone who is in their 40s or 50s and beyond, I will soften that liner with a little eyeshadow. Now, if you're sitting there watching this video and thinking, Risa, you are going to take my black kohl pencil out of my cold, dead hands. I am always going to line my lower lash line. I don't care. That's fine. That is fine, but I would just make the suggestion you just try to tone it down a little bit and see how it looks. A pencil brush is going to be your best friend. If you line your eyes with a dark kohl pencil, take that pencil brush. I'm gonna put a couple of recommendations in the description box of this video. The one I'm using here is from the brand Reffer. It's amazing. I've used it in so many of my tutorials. You just want to sort of smoke out that liner. The biggest problem I see with dark eyeliner on more mature women is that it just is so harsh. And that's the first thing you see when you look at them. You just see that dark, black, harsh eyeliner. You don't see their eyes, you don't see their beautiful faces. So just give it a try and then come back and let me know what you think. Now, I know a lot of women don't want to take a lot of time doing their makeup. Even if you have the time now, maybe your kids are grown, they're out of the house, and you do have a little bit more time for yourself, but you still don't want to be spending a long time doing your makeup. And one step a lot of women seem to be cutting out of their routine as they get older is using a lip liner. We all have opinions on lip liner. I have gotten many comments from people telling me that they think that my lip liner is too dark, and sometimes they're right. It just depends on the day, it depends on the lighting. However, I actually do like a little bit of a contrast between the lip liner and the lipstick. Some people don't, and that's fine. There are lip liners out there for everyone. You can choose one that matches exactly. You can choose one that is a little bit darker, or you can choose one that is only used to help keep your lipstick or gloss within the confines of your lip line and not going into any fine lines around the mouth. That is something else a lot of people will come up to me and ask. They'll say, what can I do about my lipstick bleeding? And the first thing I will ask them is, do you use a lip pencil? Most of the time I can see that they're not using a lip pencil. And they'll say, no, I see other women wearing lip pencils and it just looks kind of harsh and I don't like it. Well, lip liners do have a purpose, and their purpose is to not only give your lips a more defined shape. In some instances, people like to kind of change the shape of their lips almost, make them appear fuller. We've all seen different overlining techniques and lip lift techniques. But if you just want it to help keep your lipstick in place, it will do that. So I want you to stop. Please stop being afraid of lip liner. It can definitely help if you find your lip products are not staying within your lip lines. I also want you to stop being afraid of false lashes. I know, here's where a lot of you are rolling your eyes. You might even be clicking off of this video, but I'm telling you that lashes can really, really change your look. There is a reason why so many people go and get lash extensions, because lashes can really open up your eyes. They can make you look more rested, more youthful. We've all seen before and afters of someone with lashes and without, and the look just comes together with the lashes. I'm sure we've also seen before and afters where in the after, the lashes are just huge. And instead of emphasizing that person's beauty, you're actually only paying attention to the lashes, and it's taking away from that person's beauty. So while I love lashes, I created my own with BK Beauty last year. Actually, the process started a year before that, but they launched about a year ago. And I wanted to make lashes that every woman could wear, especially women over 40. Over the years, I had tried hundreds of lashes. And sometimes I'll order them because I see them look beautiful on someone on Instagram, and I would get them in the mail and I would put them on and they were just awful. I looked like I was about to perform in a burlesque show. And that's not what I wanted. So when Lisa from BK Beauty approached me about doing my own lashes, my own lash line with them, I made sure that the lashes would not overpower anyone's eyes. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Within my lash line, there are 3 strip lashes and 1 corner lash called Martini. As you can see here, they are very, very light. They don't have a heavy band. And with these, all they're going to do is give you a little extra oomph on the outer corners of your eyes. I love them because they're just lifting. You don't feel them on the eyes. They're just perfect for anyone, which is why they are the best sellers of the 4 styles. But the secret is, I really wanted all 4 styles to be half lashes. I really did, because I think that half lashes are really all you need. But ultimately we decided to go with the 3 full strip lashes because we figured people could just cut them down. But they do look beautiful as full strips as well, and we wanted them to fit all eye shapes. So whether you buy my lashes or you buy Ardell lashes or Kiss lashes at the drugstore, and by the way, I do recommend, if you're new to lashes, buying some inexpensive ones to practice with first, and then maybe investing in some higher quality lashes that will last you 8, 10, 12 uses. But I have no problem with beginners using inexpensive lashes if they're just practicing. So I'm going to, in the description box, put my lashes, of course, as well as options for beginners for lashes that are very subtle and not overpowering. All right, I think that covers everything. Those are all of the makeup techniques and tips that I think you should either stop doing or start doing differently. All of these subtle changes and tweaks are really going to take your makeup to the next level. I think you're going to be so much happier with the way your makeup looks. I think you're going to start receiving more compliments on your makeup. You're just going to feel more confident. And that's all I ever want people to take away from my videos. I want you to find them helpful in some way and just learn and feel better about your makeup skills and just go out into the world feeling more beautiful and confident at any age. So if you did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate you giving it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider doing so. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. I do upload new videos at least twice per week. You can also find more content from me over on Instagram and TikTok. My username is the same on all platforms. It's Risa Does Makeup. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.